Have you ever felt like a small leaf, swept along by the current of life, directionless and unable to resist? Have you ever asked yourself during your long journey, why does everything seem to be against me? Why does every effort I make lead to disappointment? In those tired moments, it can feel like all hope has faded and all you want to do is give up, seeking an easier path, a way out where you no longer have to feel the pain. The truth is, everyone experiences moments like this. It could be when work isn't going as planned, when relationships become distant, or when dreams fade away under the weight of daily worries. We often ask ourselves what will help us stand up and keep going when everything around us seems difficult and not as we hoped. Today I want to share with you a story. This story isn't just about one person, it's about all of us, about how we face adversity and seek the strength to stand firm. It's the story of a man who reached the end of his rope and then sought a new path, a source of light to help him move forward. He turned to a monk, hoping that in this peaceful place filled with deep wisdom, he might find answers to his life. The man in our story had suffered many difficulties, much like many others in life. He couldn't keep his family happy, couldn't provide for his wife and children the way he wanted, and he himself no longer felt any joy in life. Every day, he struggled to make a living, just trying to put 2 meals on the table for his family. But even that had become a major challenge. He had tried his best, but the more he tried, the more it felt like he was sinking deeper into an endless sea of difficulties. In this state of despair, he no longer knew what to do. He no longer had the strength to face life. Dark thoughts kept swirling in his mind, making him feel increasingly tired and discouraged. He didn't dare share his troubles with anyone, fearing they wouldn't understand, might laugh at him, or even distance themselves from him. The feeling of loneliness made his heart heavier and more painful than ever before. Finally, unable to endure any longer, he decided to seek out a monk, someone he believed could help him find the way out. He went to a small temple on a quiet mountain, hoping to find answers to the turmoil in his heart. When he met the monk, he poured out his heart, sharing all the struggles he was facing, the helplessness and despair that had overtaken his life. He told the monk that he didn't know what to do, didn't know where to find the strength to continue. With eyes heavy with worry, he said, "I really don't know how I can go on, Master. My life has become too difficult, and I can't bring happiness to my family, nor can I find happiness for myself. Sometimes I feel like everything is pointless, and I don't have any reason to continue." These words seemed like a cry for help, a call from the depths of a soul drowning in sorrow. The monk sat silently, listening to the man's words, his eyes calm and understanding. There was no rebuke, no pity, just a gentle smile. After hearing everything the man had to say, the monk said he could help, but instead of offering a direct answer, he gave the man an unexpected and simple challenge. The monk asked him to go to a hill nearby and do something seemingly unrelated to his struggles. Destroy an ant nest near the temple on top of the hill. At first, the man was confused by the monk's request. Why should someone who is seeking salvation, searching for hope, be asked to destroy an ant nest? But when he looked into the monk's tranquil eyes, he understood that this wasn't just a random task. Within this simple challenge might lie a valuable lesson the monk wanted him to learn. "Do this for 7 days," the monk said, "and do it with the utmost care, ensuring not to harm a single ant." the man felt a bit bewildered, but curiosity and hope drove him to accept the challenge. He left the temple and made his way toward the hill, filled with wonder about what lesson he might learn from this strange task. Although it wasn't clear at first, he sensed that this challenge would reveal something important about life, something that could change the way he saw his struggles and the difficulties he was facing. So, where would this challenge lead him? What lessons would unfold along this unexpected journey? We will explore this journey together to discover the valuable lessons this man is about to experience. Perhaps, in the end, it's not about what we achieve in challenges, but what we learn from them. After the monk signed the task, the man left the temple and began his journey up the hill. There, he found a small temple on the summit, next to a large ant nest, where thousands of ants were busy working, carrying tiny bits of food back to their home. This sight stirred something in him, but he recalled the monk's words and began his task, destroying the ant nest without harming a single ant. On the first day, he bent down and carefully began dismantling the nest piece by piece. As the debris from the nest fell, the ants scattered in all directions, desperately trying to save their home. They moved in chaos, trying to hold on to everything, but the man's strength was too great, and soon the nest was completely destroyed. He watched the ants scurrying around, feeling a pang of guilt, but he continued with the task, believing the monk had a reason for asking him to do this. The next day, to his surprise, the man found the nest rebuilt in exactly the same spot, despite having completely destroyed it the day before. The ants resumed their work, unfazed and undeterred. They, one by one, continued gathering food and rebuilding their home from the ruins. Watching this, the man felt something shift inside of him, as though an invisible force was stirring within. He repeated the task, destroying the nest for the second time, but this time he felt heavier in his heart. The sight of the ants in panic, scattering in every direction, caused him inner turmoil. Why did the monk ask me to do this? He wondered. What could I learn from destroying the ant nest every day? But, remembering the monk's calm gaze, he resolved to complete the task. Day after day, he returned to the hill, and each time the nest was rebuilt. The ants never ceased working, never gave up, despite the challenges he brought upon them. No matter how many times their home was destroyed, they returned to the same spot and started over, tirelessly. As the days passed, the man began to feel something extraordinary in the ants. He realized they never stopped, never gave up, no matter how many times their home was destroyed. Each time he destroyed the nest, they rebuilt it right at the same spot, as though they didn't know what fear or discouragement was. Instead, they simply kept going, one step at a time, rebuilding their home. Looking at their persistence, he began to reflect on himself. He remembered the times in his own life when he faced difficulties, and instead of confronting them, he felt disheartened and gave up. His struggles, compared to what the ants endured, seemed insignificant, but the biggest difference was in their attitude. He was easily defeated by failure, while these small ants had an unwavering spirit, never giving up. On the final day of the task, he felt he could no longer destroy the nest. Every time he bent down to tear it apart, his heart grew heavier, and he felt he was doing something wrong. Instead of destroying the nest, he decided to do something different. He brought some food and gently placed it next to the ant nest as an apology for what he had done over the past days. He could no longer harm these ants. They had taught him a profound lesson about perseverance and courage in life. things he had never truly understood before. After completing the task, he returned to the temple to meet the monk. The monk asked him what he had learned from the task. The man lowered his head and began to share his feelings over the past days. He spoke about the persistence of the ants, how they never gave up, always ready to face any challenge to rebuild their home. He realized that his life also needed that spirit, a spirit that doesn't easily falter, and that's always ready to get up after each fall. The monk nodded, smiled, and said that the lesson from the ants was one of perseverance and the will to never give up. Life may push us into difficult situations, but what matters is how we face them. Instead of giving up, we need to learn to rise up and keep going, just like the ants did. And perhaps, if we persevere and never stop trying, life will gradually change just as the ants taught him. Through the story of the man and the ants, we can see that perseverance is an important virtue, an essential factor that helps people overcome hardships and challenges. Sometimes we are quick to give up when faced with failure, but it's in those moments that perseverance truly matters. The ants don't know what discouragement is. They don't understand failure. They simply know how to keep going, knowing that every day is an opportunity to start over. Perhaps in life, we need to learn to be like the ants. Keep trying and never let difficulties make us fall. The first lesson from the story of the man and the ants is the importance of perseverance and never giving up. In life, no one can escape challenges and adversity. What makes the difference between those who succeed and those who give up is their ability to persevere. When faced with difficulties, many people are quick to lose heart, thinking all efforts are in vain. However, as we've seen through the image of the small ants who never stop despite obstacles, perseverance is the key that helps them overcome and continue their journey. Perseverance is not just a simple trait, it is a powerful tool that helps people achieve their goals in life. It teaches us that no matter how many times we fall, what matters is how we rise and keep moving forward. Perseverance helps us build the courage to face difficulties, and it can even turn those challenges into lessons for personal growth. Imagine someone who loses their job after many years of dedication to the company. At first, they may feel hopeless, as if all their efforts have been in vain. The fear about the future, the responsibilities toward their family may become overwhelming, making them feel as though they have nowhere to turn. But this person, instead of letting fear take over, decides that this is not the end. They see it as an opportunity to reflect, to learn from themselves, to better understand what they are capable of and what new skills they can develop. They begin each new day by learning, seeking new opportunities, and working to develop skills they had never considered before. Day by day, perseverance keeps them confident, helping them continue despite obstacles. Even when they face failure, when things seem to stagnate, they refuse to give up. After some time, they find a new job, perhaps even a better position, one that fits the skills they've diligently honed during their period of unemployment. People like this are proof that perseverance is not just a trait, but a powerful motivator. Perseverance teaches us that if we don't give up, we can always find a way to move forward, no matter how many failures we face. In each challenge, perseverance helps us see hope, reminding us that every failure is merely a stepping stone toward success. The story of the ants and the man is not just a story about actions, but about willpower and an unyielding spirit. The ants those small, never stopped rebuilding their nest, no matter how many times it was destroyed. They don't understand failure, nor do they know what surrender is. In their world, every day is an opportunity to continue the journey. And we, as human beings with dreams and ambitions, also need that spirit, the spirit of perseverance, never giving up. In modern life, when everything seems to be happening so quickly, maintaining a spirit of perseverance becomes a significant challenge. We are easily discouraged when faced with difficult situations, such as when a project fails, when work doesn't go as expected, or when we face loss. However, those who overcome it all are the ones who do not give up, those who believe that every difficulty holds a valuable lesson. Wendy in New York is an example. She once dreamed of becoming a writer, but her career didn't develop as she had hoped. After years of writing and facing rejection after rejection, she at one point thought her dream would never come true. But instead of giving up, Wendy decided that she would keep trying, no matter how many times she was rejected. Every morning, Wendy would spend hours writing, honing her skills despite the fact that no one was interested in her work at that time. She continued to send her manuscripts to publishers, constantly improving her work and patiently waiting. Finally, after many years of perseverance, she received a call from a major publisher offering her the opportunity to publish her first book. That book not only brought her fame, but also opened doors for even greater dreams. If she had given up, success might have always remained out of reach. From Wendy's story in The Man's Journey, we learn that perseverance is a critical factor in overcoming adversity. It's not just the motivation that keeps us going when things get tough, but also the belief that our efforts will eventually be rewarded. There is no path to success that doesn't involve stumbling along the way. And every time we rise after a failure, we grow stronger and more resilient. We will encounter days of exhaustion, challenges that seem insurmountable. But what is crucial is that no matter what happens, we must remember that perseverance is the key to moving forward, to overcoming difficulties, and to achieving our dreams. The second lesson we can draw from this story is the impermanence of hardships. In life, nothing is permanent, including the challenges and suffering we face. Difficulties may come suddenly and feel heavy, but what matters is not how long those challenges last, but how we respond to them. If we choose to see each hardship as a lesson and an opportunity to grow, we will realize that challenges are just temporary moments on the path to maturity. In reality, during times of hardship, most of us feel an immense pressure, like a stone weighing down on our shoulders. Sadness and disappointment can make us lose direction, much like the man in the story who felt his heart heavy as he had to destroy the ant nest every day. But if we view challenges from a different perspective, we can see their value. Every time we stumble, it is an opportunity to learn and improve ourselves. Jake lives in Chicago. He once had a stable job, but one day he lost it due to layoffs. Initially, this was a huge shock for him. Jake felt extremely anxious about the future and about not having an income to support his life. Negative thoughts began to overwhelm him, making his heart heavy, and he lost all hope. It felt as though he was sinking deep into a hole with no way out. But instead of letting fear and pressure crush him, Jake decided to change his perspective. He reminded himself that hardships are temporary and that he could use this time to learn and develop new skills. Rather than sitting and worrying, Jake enrolled in online courses, learning skills that he had neglected during his previous job, like programming and project management. Those difficult months were not wasted. Instead, Jake learned a lot. He realized that hardship was not an end, but rather an opportunity to start anew. After some time, Jake found a new job, one that was not only more stable, but also had better growth potential than his old one. If he hadn't changed his outlook and used the hard times to grow, he might not have had the chance to progress further in his career. From Jake's story, we can see that hardships are really tests to see how long we can stand firm and how strong we are. In those moments when our hearts feel the heaviest, what we need is not to give up, but patience and the belief that all difficulties will eventually pass. We must trust that when one door closes, another will open. But this can only happen if we hold on to that belief and don't give up. When facing tough times, many of us feel our hearts are heavy, as if we are carrying a mental burden. These are the moments when negative thoughts flood in, making us see life as bleak with no way forward. However, there are methods that can help us overcome this feeling, ease the mental burden, and regain peace of mind. One of the most effective techniques is mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us focus on the present, reducing thoughts about the past or worries about the future. By focusing on the present, negative thoughts gradually fade, replaced by feelings of calm and tranquility. One simple exercise we can practice every day is deep breathing, concentrating on each breath. Inhalation brings peace, and exhalation carries away our worries. Over time, mindfulness helps us control our emotions, soothing sadness and the heavy heart. Beyond mindfulness, changing our mindset is also a crucial way to overcome challenges. When we start seeing difficulties not as obstacles, but as opportunities, each hardship becomes easier to face. That's when we begin to approach life positively, recognizing that every challenge has its reason and meaning. We can think of hardships as teachers, offering lessons that we need to grow. And when we realize that difficulties are only temporary, it becomes easier to move through them. Every experience brings a lesson, and it is these experiences that make us stronger and ready to embrace new things in life. When we think back to the image of the man in the story, going up the hill each day to destroy the ant nest and watching them rebuild from scratch, we understand that his heart too was once heavy, filled with discouragement and confusion. But with each passing day, watching the ant's persistence, he learned the lesson of the impermanence of hardship. He realized that the ant nest would always be rebuilt after being destroyed, just as life's challenges come and go, leaving us with valuable lessons. Finally, what we need to do when facing difficulty is not to avoid it, but to confront it and learn how to overcome it. We must view difficulties as part of the journey, an essential part of our growth and development. Remember that all hardships will eventually pass, but the lessons we learn from them will stay with us forever. Through the story of the man and the ants, we have uncovered two invaluable lessons: the lesson of perseverance and the lesson of the impermanence of hardships. These two lessons don't just come from the situations the man experienced, but reflect the challenges that each of us can face in life. First, perseverance is the key factor that helps us overcome obstacles. Just like the ants never stop rebuilding their nest, no matter how many times it's destroyed, perseverance allows us to continue our journey and move closer to our goals. No matter how many times we fail, the most important thing is that we rise and keep trying. The second lesson we can take away is the impermanence of hardship. Life is constantly changing, and no difficulty lasts forever. We may feel tired and discouraged when facing challenges, but remember that hardship is just a part of the journey. Challenges come and go, and what we can do is learn how to face them with calmness and patience. When we accept that difficulties are only temporary, it becomes easier to overcome them and find peace of mind. The story of the man and the ants reminds us that no matter how harsh life may be, we can overcome any challenge if we keep faith and continue to try. Perseverance is not just a necessary virtue, it is the strength that helps us face every hardship. Whether it's failure or loss, as long as we hold on to our belief, we will find a way forward. Life may push us into seemingly insurmountable situations, but when we do not give up and keep moving forward, we become stronger and more resilient. Remember, every challenge we face brings its own lesson, an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. Sometimes, the greatest challenges are the most valuable lessons in life. When we look back, the hardships we have faced will become milestones that show how strong and persistent we have become. And perhaps that is the true meaning of life, not avoiding difficulties, but learning how to confront them and grow from them. The story of the man also encourages us not to lose heart when facing difficulties. Remember the fundamental image of the small but resilient ants, always rebuilding their nest every day. No matter how many times their nest is destroyed, they never give up. That is the spirit we all need to embrace, the spirit of never giving up, always ready to face every challenge. Now, I want to encourage you to apply these lessons to your own life. When you encounter a challenge, remember that this is not the end, but just an obstacle to overcome. Don't let fear or disappointment stop you. Always hold on to your faith and keep trying, no matter how rough the road may be. When you persevere and accept the impermanence of everything, you will find peace in your heart and the motivation to move forward. Each day, remember that hardships are temporary. Be persistent, never stop trying, and trust that your efforts will be rewarded. When you apply these lessons to your life, you will realize that difficulties are no longer something to fear, but opportunities to develop and grow. With each challenge you overcome, you get closer to your goals, and every step brings you closer to becoming the best version of yourself. Life is a long journey filled with challenges, but if we face difficulties with perseverance and faith, we will not only overcome them but grow stronger from them.